Hello, everybody. Happy Friday to you. It's great to have you join us. Thank you so much. And as you know, today we have a very, very special show. Thanks so much for joining us. And usually we're on Thursday. Today we're on Friday. But let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered what tech announcements happened this week? Well, there's a lot of news coming in today. You're in for a treat. Well, you're also wondering about financial news and what news that you can use to really make an impact on you and your wallet. Well, you're in double luck because we're going to talk about that as well. Welcome to In the Loop with Winnie and Greg. I'm Winnie Sun, longtime financial pro, Forbes contributor, CNBC council member, and it is a treat to be here with you. Happy Friday, but first of all, someone I've been missing. Greg, it wasn't quite the same without you here yesterday. I felt a little off. I know we didn't go on yesterday, but I'm really glad to see you. I feel like we still have another day tomorrow before the weekend. I mean, do you feel different today?
Yes, it feels off just a little bit because it was the same thing yesterday. I had all my reminders going off like the show's happening. I'm like, no, it's not today. It's happening tomorrow. It's happening on Friday, but we are here. And hello, everybody. I am Greg Nibbler, and thank you for joining us, whatever platform you're watching on. Appreciate it a lot. I'm a tech reporter. I've been a journalist for that for a long, long time. And we do have some really cool things to talk about this week. There were a lot of announcements that came out, but we're going to focus on a couple really big ones that we'll kind of go over, and I'll recap what happened and maybe answer any questions that people have. And we've got another special segment coming up on this episode with special guest Erin Keeney, who's going to talk about some of the biggest movies that are out and give us a spoiler-free review of those, including Dune, which I will say I actually saw it last night. No spoilers. Yep, I went and saw it. I couldn't wait. I had to go see it. And I will not give any spoilers on it. I'll wait for Erin to talk about it. But I'll have maybe a couple of things I can contribute on that. But that's all coming up.
I want to know what you feel like. Because Greg, I feel like you've always led us right. I mean, all the shows you've been telling us to stream. I'm really interested to see this because this looks like a big one.
Yeah, it's huge. So I'll have some things to say on that one. But I know we've got a lot of other stuff to get to here, just like you were saying, Winnie, with some big financial news and different ways to help balance that out. And I'm excited to hear what you have.
Well, thank you so much, Greg. I got to tell you, I can't wait to hear your news as well. And yeah, what a treat to see what you what you're going to say about Dune, because I've been looking forward to that movie too. All right, let's start with the market and get right to serious stuff first, right? Well, we're ending a week that's, plus or minus kind of good, kind of not so good. Now, the Dow closed up 73 points. The NASDAQ closed up 125 points, and the S&P closed down 4. So actually, NASDAQ was down 125, S&P down 4. And so those of you who are invested in tech, you probably saw a little bit of pain today. In fact, shares of Intel did retreat as well. Unfortunately, as you know, there's been continued concerns about supply chains, and the semiconductor industry has definitely felt a lot of that pain. They had a revenue miss this last quarter. We also saw some pain in the social media space, believe it or not. Snap definitely reported that their advertising business has declined significantly. They blame it to Apple's privacy changes. Not sure how much that has to do with it, or if less people are now going to Snap and maybe jumping on some of the newer platforms. We don't know. But Snap did drop by 23%. Now, Facebook and Twitter, though, they did come back a little bit, up about 3% around that area. But on other news and technology, we definitely saw a nice boost. Maybe they knew that we were going to do In the Loop today with Greg, and they're like, you know what, we got to keep up with that. But Tesla was up over 1%, following 3% up yesterday. So that continued to do well. Netflix, eBay, Microsoft all saw actually new all-time highs. So those of you who have been following those companies probably saw that boost as well. But one area, Greg, that I think that I really want to talk about is the discussion about travel. Because as we know, we're going into the holidays, right? Halloween's in just a week from now. And this is usually a very popular travel season. But I would say probably as things start to feel a little bit more normal from the pandemic, more people are traveling. But The question is whether or not the airlines are going to be ready, because as you probably heard just recently, between October 8th and the 13th, Southwest Airlines canceled more than 2,000 flights, losing them about $75 million in revenue. This is huge, and they're expected to trim their schedule once again before the holidays. And, this is just added to so many other companies suffering: the United, American Airlines, Delta. And then there's talk about obviously the vaccine mandate and whether staff is going to be cut more because of that as well. And so a lot of people have been talking about what are the best ways to book a flight to avoid having too much damage in terms of your schedule, but most importantly, your wallet too, as we go to travel. And I'm guessing, Greg, you must have experienced this. I mean, I know us individually, we both travel a lot. I've been through a lot of cases where I've been bumped from flights, I have flights canceled.
Yeah.
Has that happened to you?
Yeah, I've definitely had that happen. I've been fortunate here with these recent cancellations that I haven't had to endure anything. I actually I know there's a whole other airline, SkyWest, which just canceled a bunch of flights over the last couple of days too. So it's really hitting a lot of people when that happens. And it's unfortunate because, a lot of times there may not be another solution that can happen right away. So it is, it doesn't mean there's just another airline you can go hop on their flight. Like, you may be completely out of luck and you're just kind of stuck there. And it's very frustrating, and
Absolutely.
like you said, you want to make sure that financially you get your money back or some kind of restitution for what's going on, especially if you can't make the flight. So that's a lot of things to consider.
Yeah, there's other things to consider. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to do and just how to navigate that, because it's a big issue. But before I do that, let's say hello, because we see a lot of friends here. Let's see. We see Robin Stevens joining us from LinkedIn Live. It's wonderful to see you. Modern Mom, thanks so much for being here. We see Charles joining us from LinkedIn Live saying hello to you, Greg.
Hello.
So wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. All right. So let me tell you, if you're going to be flying around the holidays or just in general, there's a lot of things you want to be paying attention to. Now, let me tell you, full disclosure, prior to the pandemic, I was almost in a plane pretty much every month. So I felt like a lot of these come from just experience, but I also did a lot of research for you because I wanted to make sure to get you prepared as we go to this time. And Greg's absolutely right. Like what we're seeing at I think it's SkyWest, but they actually do a lot of the small regional flights for a lot of the big airlines. So here's what I would say. The first thing you want to do before booking your flight is obviously doing your research. And one of the best things that we usually do is go to like Google Flights or whatnot to find our airlines of choice, our flights of choice. But you also want to look, because a lot of the airlines now will report the percentage chance of your flight leaving on time. I know American Airlines does it. You can see it on a lot of websites. So do your research, because if prior you're seeing low numbers, that might be a flight that often gets canceled. You want to be careful about that. The other thing they're recommending too, of course, is deciding when you fly. If you can, of course, book a nonstop flight whenever possible. And you want to fly on non-peak days if you can, like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And of course, choose a morning departure, because if your flight gets canceled and it's a morning departure, there's a very good chance there'll be another flight that you can jump on. And according to AirHelp, the fewest flight cancellations actually occur between 6 a.m. and 11:59 a.m. So just right before lunchtime. So if you can book those morning flights, that actually helps a lot. The other thing you want to do is obviously check your flights a few days prior to your trip. This will give you indication if they've been having problems with, weather or other operational issues. You can check on websites such as FlightAware or Flight Tracker or TripIt Pro. Those are some ones that I've actually used. And I'm sure there's ones that you may use. And if you do, and this has happened to you, definitely jump in comments and let us know, because we love to hear from you as well. But also pay attention to cancellation policies. Believe it or not, there are some wonderful airlines right now that are being really, really flexible with their cancellation policy. So we know Southwest historically has been, but a lot of the big traditional airlines are as well, because of the COVID-19 scares. A lot of people are saying, okay, we'll let you change your flight. They might not let you have a full refund, but they'll give you flexibility to rebook. So what you're looking for is that timeline. Are they going to give you a 1 year time frame to rebook, or is it actually going to be more open ended? So that would be helpful. The other thing that I would recommend too, of course, to make sure you get to keep your trip in ideally, but also if you can keep your money, that'd be great. Try to book flights that have a lot of flights, right? So this isn't the time, especially on the holidays, to book where, you know, some of the smaller airlines might only fly this route maybe once or twice a day. That's probably not the place you want to go, because that could cause problems. Some of these discount airlines, they don't even have partner airlines, or they might not even book you on another competing airline's flight if their flight gets canceled. And that's important, because I remember once I was in Hawaii and I got to the airline with my family. The flight was canceled, but they immediately put us on another large airline. It was great. We actually got vouchers, which is key. Make sure you ask for those vouchers, and then you can get back, you know, on your flight. Now, the other thing is, what happens if you're at the airport and maybe you're nowhere close to home? Could be an international flight, could be domestic flight. What do? Right? Your flight gets canceled. Now, common misconception is whenever that happens, people actually rush in line to try and rebook their flight in person. So there'll be attendant, and you'll go to the desk, right? That's where you usually get your tickets and whatnot. Everybody will rush. So that's good. You should still go ahead and follow and try and get in that line. Now, if you have, you know, the higher level class airlines, you want to make sure you go if you have first class or business class, go to that line instead of the regular line. But if you go in the regular line, as soon as you're in line, pick up your phone and start making a phone call. So call the airline desk at the same time that you're in line. I did this and it actually saved me, because sometimes when you get bumped, the next plane might only have like six seats left, and there might be 12 people in front of you in line. So jump on that. Sometimes the agent will pick up faster, book you on, and you can be on your way. The second thing is, if you're flying with someone else, right? Let's say you have another person in your party, have that person jump on the website and go on online chat feature too. So that way you've got all of your bases covered. That's really key. The other thing you want to do is just take a look at, you know, if you get stuck somewhere, or if it's a really long flight and, you know, there just aren't a lot of options, try to look for something with a little bit longer of a layover, especially on those international flights. That gives you a better chance of being rebooked if there's a delay. There are some, actually, you know, Sadiq, I was thinking about you when I was doing this research, but there are some really nice airlines, such as a Turkish airline, Turkish Airlines. They actually let you have a overnight 20-hour layover. So if that's an option, that might even be something fun. You can actually take a look at other destinations while you're, you know, being bumped or being changed. So it gives you some options. But definitely the other thing I would do is just check around. If you're doing a connection, check what the closest hotels are in your area, and have these phone numbers, like your airline phone number, have them pre-programmed into your phone before you even board that plane. So in case something happens, you literally got to hit one button and you're in business, and you can get things moving as soon as you can. So hopefully that's helpful. But those are a few, and I'm going to work on a longer list and put together an article very soon. But I thought that would be helpful. What do you think, Greg? Any of those that you didn't know?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually really helpful, because I'm realizing now, for all the travel that I've been doing, I'm not really prepared for that kind of situation. And those websites that you mentioned are great. I'll definitely be checking those out. I've got a flight actually coming up in a couple of weeks, so I'll make sure to follow along with that. And the whole idea too of taking a look at what the hotels are nearby, like if you do get a layover, that's a great idea. I've had that happen to me before, just especially coming into winter with weather. You never know. You know, the Portland airport, which is the one that I fly out of, has been iced over before, and so they cancel flights even coming back in. So knowing if I'm going to be stuck somewhere, what some options are, that's really, really great thinking. This is a good list. I like this.
Thank you. Especially if you're going somewhere where you have family or friends, or if, you know, sometimes what I'll try to do is, if I have a layover, I try to pick a layover that I know I have friends or family in that layover city.
Nice.
So worst case, you know, especially now, like it's kind of hard. Like travel scene is crazy. Like a lot of hotels are actually really booked too.
Yeah. It's pretty wild out there right now. And plus, I mean, car rentals are back now. That was a whole issue for a while too. But it seems like that's evened out a little bit. But yeah, it's a crazy time anyway. But yeah, traveling is as people are doing it more, and now with all the cancellations, definitely need to be a little more careful on planning ahead.
Yeah, but it's still so much fun.
It
So
is.
sometimes a little pain, just so we can get to our destination. Awesome. But I know there was a big week for you, Greg, right? I know you
Yeah.
were really busy. So actually, to be honest with you, I was gonna do some research on some of the news that came out this week. I'm like, hold up, I don't need to do that. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till Greg tells me. So what happened this week? Because I know just before we jumped on, one of my producers was asking me about MacBook Pro. So I really
Yeah.
want to hear this news.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a big week for tech, especially because you have the heavy hitters, mainly Apple and Google with back-to-back events, which is pretty rare that happens, where it's just one right after the other. So it was huge, and it started off on Monday with Apple with their big announcement for their new MacBook Pros. So this is
Woo-hoo.
huge. Yeah, this is the first kind of full redesign they've done in a few years. Like 2016 was the last time they did a full redesign of them, and they've definitely made some changes to them. So I guess to start off, you have a couple of different ones. You got a 14-inch and a 16-inch, and you've got two different chips. Now, the M1 chip is what they came out with just last year, and that's their own chip. You now have an M1 Pro and an M1 Max. And what that means is it just depends on what you want to do with your laptop, but it's faster, better. It can handle graphics better. It can handle processing better. So all of that stuff that you want in a laptop that you want it to do, especially if you're really taxing it with a lot of programs, those should be better. It also can handle a better display and everything along those lines. So pretty cool. One of the main things, though, that I want to highlight for the redesign is this is something that I feel like everybody who uses a laptop, which is everyone, has had an issue with that. And that is the fact that we see less and less ports on laptops, right? I mean, how many times are you like, oh, I don't have enough space to plug this in. So you get all the dongles. Well, they've changed that now. So they brought back more ports. You have USB-C ports.
Woo-hoo.
You have a MagSafe charger on there. You've got an HDMI connection. You got a Thunderbolt connection. So they put more ports back in it. And I think that's a good regress that they did with that. I think more ports is better, especially.
I heard that.
Right?
I heard that, Greg. I was excited about that because one of the articles I read was saying that they were Apple's being really smart, still paying attention to design, but now also very much paying attention to productivity, which giving us more ports. Oh, Greg, I don't know. That to me is like music to my ears. Does that sort of swing you in that direction though? Are we seeing like a Greg MacBook Pro marriage soon?
I think we might. I mean, I don't know if it'll be this one, but it seems like a pretty great machine. But I'll tell you what, a couple of things to think about too when you're going to be getting this. So that's there, as they're highlighting right there, you have better speakers on it. Spatial audio is a big feature now. And that's with the AirPods as well. But the price is pretty high on these. Now, MacBook Pros are pretty expensive normally, but these the starting for the 14-inch is $2,000. Okay. And then the 16-inch is $2,500. And that's just the base. Now, you can add on more memory, more RAM, all that stuff. I think you can get up to somewhere around $6,000 if you really beefed up and got all the bells and whistles. But that's something to consider when you're stepping into it. But this is a machine that should be able to handle a lot of things. Like if you're going to be, especially, I mean, the way I look at it is for like video editing, and just how much you need. Like you need a lot of power to do that, especially if you get into 4K stuff. And this is the laptop that can do that.
So Greg, so it's called Apple inflation, right? So the iPhone was starting to get to the price of the iPad, and then even the laptop, and then the iPad, and then now the computers or these MacBook Pros are getting to the price of cars. I mean,
yeah, there's somebody made a comparison of that, of all the cars that you could buy for the price of a high-end Apple MacBook Pro. It is crazy. But yeah, this is what they came up with. So I think it's a pretty exciting thing. It'll be interesting to see what that does, just the pricing wise for some of the older models. Will we see a drop in those? Are people going to be rushing out to get these? You can pre-order now. I have to double check when they actually come out, but you can pre-order it right now. But yeah, this is that was their big thing. The other thing they announced as well, from the MacBook Pro side, then you also have the new AirPod 3. So the AirPods 3, this is the third generation of those. And they look a little bit different. Like the Golf T stem is a little bit shorter. It
looks similar.
Yeah, they're very similar, but it's just a little bit shorter. And it kind of falls in between the regular AirPods and the AirPod Pro. And it falls in line with that with price as well. So it's $179 for these ones. A lot of times you'll see sales on AirPods. So that's something to keep an eye out for as well. Sweat and water resistance. So not proof, but sweat and water resistant. So you'll be okay if you're working out with these things, and also incorporating more of that spatial audio aspect that they've been talking about, which is the idea that things sound like where they would be. So you can be listening to something and it could be coming from the front of you to the right, and then the other time it could be down to the left, and it'll sound like things are coming from where they're meant to be, if that makes sense. It's a pretty cool feature. Spatial
that
audio
is really
cool.
Yeah,
it adds a lot.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I definitely see people who, like Curtis, who we were just talking about, who do, editing a video, and they need that like really, really great quality. And people who love to hear music, I think this might be a really fun gift idea. But I will say, Greg, my question is this. There's a lot of talk about not being able to get goods, right? Supply chain issues.
Yeah.
Is this going to be issue for like this holiday season for people who are thinking about getting this for the holidays for gifts and whatnot? I'm guessing this could fall in the line. I mean,
it's entirely possible. Yeah. I mean, it's such a hard thing to really predict because there's so many factors. I mean, there was a shortage on processors and a shortage on just actual manufacturing. And now we have just the supplies can't get here because they're sitting in freights, in freight off the coast. So hard to say on that. Yeah. Whether or not you're going to have an issue. I wouldn't be surprised though, if things did get delayed a little bit at least. But yeah, something to factor in there. If you're wanting it right away, you may have to wait. And that actually falls in line with what's happening with Google. So I guess going from Apple to Google, the other big announcement this week is their new phones with the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro. So the 6th generation of the Google Pixel phone. And this is a pretty impressive looking phone. Well, I mean, looks wise, there are people we've known what it was going to look like for a while. And I think, everybody's got their opinions on that band for the cameras, whether they like that or not. I think I've heard a lot of people say they don't like that band there.
I don't know what you're talking about, Greg.
Yeah,
but
I don't know where I heard that from. So there's that aspect. But the cameras themselves are pretty great. And that's one of the things that Google is always really focusing on, is both their cameras and then the fact that they can integrate all of this software into it because it's their phone. They've built a lot of really cool features into it, and that's what they were highlighting with this one too. So they're using their own processor. Everybody's getting their own processors now. So they've got their Tensor processor, and that'll kind of need to be put to the test to see how it handles everything.
It's Olympic competition of processors, Greg. We're going to have to see, whichbody now, like you can't blame Intel or Broadcom or somebody. Now it's like down to you. Like you're going to do it. You better do it well.
You better do it well. Yeah.
So let's see.
Yeah. And we'll have to see, how it all works out. But a couple of the things that they were highlighting for this. So when it comes to the software side, they've created this thing called the Magic Eraser tool. So if you take a picture, I mean, I don't know how many times this has happened to you, but it certainly has happened to me, where you have somebody photobombing on purpose or not in the background of the same picture, and you want to remove them from it. You can just click now and it will completely remove somebody out of the picture. Or
that's awesome.
Yeah. So you got that. That's kind of a cool one that
you're deleted.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what that's going to be for a lot of people's exes who are now going to not be in pictures.
That's true. So then, Greg, like, could you load other photos that you took? So I guess you couldn't. It had to be a picture you take from this phone, right? Because
they're saying you can do it with other photos as well. So
really,
it may kind of depend on what you've got, on picture by picture. But yeah, they're saying there's going to be something that you can use for other things. And also an anti-blur function as well. So if you get something that's blurry, it's actually taking multiple photos so they can piece it together and get rid of the blur. It's like at the same time it's taking these pictures.
That's it, Greg. Yeah, that's it, Greg. I just feel like we need to. I feel like we're gonna have to be on Team Greg now. We're gonna have to have two phones.
Yeah, right. I know. I kind of want the Pixel 6, and it's priced really aggressively too. So for a high-end phone, this is pretty cheap. It's at $599 for the Pixel 6, and the Pro is $899. I think I have that right. Yeah, $899. So that's actually pretty. I mean, it's a lot less than the high-end iPhone or Samsung, which is really what they're going after, or OnePlus. So they're trying to get people into this Pixel universe. And
they're trying to, but we just got Sadiq. Sadiq, we got Sadiq moving to Apple because Sadiq is telling us today he has a confession. He says he bought his something at the Apple online store. So, big
I mean,
for him. Mm-hmm.
It's everybody's got the shorter side of it though. The Pixel 6 was actually selling out really quick on the website for anybody to even get one. They
So
may
if you're
have
thinking
restocked
about
now.
getting one, don't hesitate, huh?
Yeah. It's there could be some supply issues on that end, so we'll have to see. But that's what we had. I mean, it's just such a cool week for all this tech and all this new stuff coming out.
Okay, but Greg, so now you've seen the phones. Like, are you any closer to making your phone decision here?
I need a new phone. I'm very interested in the Pixel 6. Right now that may be the leader for me. The Pixel 6 versus I know. I know, despite the look, I like what it can do, and as long as I have a good case for it so I don't smash the
you're not going to see the outside anyway. It's a function. That's so true. It is a function. Very, very cool, Greg. Thank you.
Yeah. So if anybody has any questions on that, feel free to get a hold of me too. Happy to talk about any of that. But I know we need to get to our special guest today as well, because probably everybody knows Dune is out. Dune. This is, I went and saw it last night, and I am not going to give any of my opinions away until we hear from our special guest. But we have joining us today, we have Erin Keeney, and Erin, I think, is in backstage right now, so we're going to get her on.
Welcome, Erin.
Oh, thank you for having me. Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Erin.
Hi there, Greg. Hi, Winnie.
And Winnie too. Yeah, Winnie, Erin. So there we go. On-air introduction.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure.
There's so much going on, with movies and everything streaming and all this stuff happening. And I know you keep up to date with all that. For anybody who doesn't know, Erin is always well informed on everything that's going on in entertainment. So it's always fun to hear your thoughts and opinions on this. It. And I know you've got a lot to get to, but I think we got to start with Dune.
You got to tell us.
Yeah. We have to start with Dune. And, to both of you, it's always fun in this job when you get to talk about a great movie, and not just a great movie, but a great movie that we get to see in the theaters if we want to this weekend. So that's incredibly exciting. Yeah, Dune. I mean, the biggest news, right, in theaters right now. I want to start by saying this to both of you and to the audience here. Okay, Dune, I'm familiar with the story. I vaguely remember in the 1980s, seeing the movie out of the corner of my eye, and my brother and his friends were watching the film. But I come to this story as kind of a newcomer. So when I went to the press screening last week, I didn't have any expectation, right? I went in, I knew it was about 2.5 hours. By the end of the movie, I wanted more. I didn't want it to end. Whoa. I truly enjoyed this movie. And again, just coming as a complete novice to the film. I mean, you both know that this film is based on the 1965 sci-fi masterpiece by Frank Herbert. And over the years, there have been a lot of different adaptations, attempts to bring this story to film. In the 1970s, there was a miniseries in the year 2000. And then there was David Lynch's famous 1984 attempt. And, that director, he even deemed that movie such a disaster that he kind of washed his hands of it. And he said, I kind of disown that version. So it's a pretty brave attempt, to bring this to the big screen. And my review in general, I think that this adaptation of Dune got it right. They got it right this time around. So Greg, I'm going to be interested certainly to hear your thoughts as well, because I know that you're a fan. Can I tell a little bit about the backstory for people who don't know?
Yes.
About this story. Yes. Okay, so this film, I'm kind of talking like I'm talking to my friend's parents, like here's where we're at. Okay, so this film takes us many millennia into the future. Okay, so there's these noble houses that control different planets. They're fighting, of course, because it wouldn't be a movie if there weren't, these feuds. The most coveted is the desert planet Arrakis, or Dune. And the reason it's so coveted is that planet holds this life extending very powerful substance called spice. So this is the most precious resource in existence. Okay, the spice is what everybody wants. So in this film, we follow Paul Atreides. He's kind of the main character here, played by Timothée Chalamet, who is expertly cast in this role. He's this gifted but coddled young man born into this great destiny beyond his understanding. So he has these dreams and visions throughout the film of kind of what he is supposed to do, in this life. And in the film, we see him travel to the most dangerous planet in the universe to ensure the future of his family and his people. So it is stressful. It is very stressful in a lot of ways, this mission that he's on. Like I said, Timothée Chalamet handles himself expertly in this role. We also have Rebecca Ferguson, who plays his mom. to me, she was such a standout in this role. She really brings the warmth and character to a film that can be a little bit icy, just because it's a sci-fi thriller. So she brings the warmth and heart to the film. Oscar Isaac plays the father, who's also the Duke of the planet. And of course, we see there the incredible Zendaya and Javier Bardem. They both show up as the oppressed indigenous the Fremen people. So we're hoping to see more of them. I certainly hope to see more of both of them in the sequel, if there is a sequel, fingers crossed. Josh Brolin is also in this, Charlotte Rampling, Stellan Skarsgård. So basically there's no B team here. Everywhere you look, it's A team. Yeah. Every character that they introduce on screen, you think, oh my God, there's Javier Bardem. He's doing this. It's just incredible. So this is directed by Denis Villeneuve. And you both probably know him from, he's a French-Canadian director, and he's known for his Oscar-nominated film, Arrival. Do you remember that one in 2016?
Yeah.
Big Oscar nominee. And he also did Blade Runner 2049. He signed on to direct this. This was his dream project since he was a child. He said everything in his career was building up to be able to direct this film. And he creates these really awe-inspiring, technical worlds. They're just so stunning, and they're so immersive with the sands. And he creates these cavernous fortresses and these futuristic spacecraft that you see there. They look kind of like dragonflies. And of course, these terrifying sandworms, if you know the story, they're a big part in this film as well. So just aesthetically alone, it's absolutely impeccable, in my opinion. But Winnie, too, I don't know if you are a fan of this series as well, but I want to add something else that I really liked about this. Villeneuve opted to split this complicated story into two parts, right? So this is just the first part of everything. And for people who are fans of the book, I think they're going to be really happy, because this is a very faithful retelling, of this complicated story. So I think people will be happy with that. What I personally loved about this movie was it is apparent that Villeneuve and the storytellers really wanted the newbies, and the novices to come along and be part of this story. So he really plays up the subtext, of the plot, and he kind of helps all of us who are new to this get into the story, and and it resonates on a deep level in many, many ways. So,
I love that
story. Yeah, which I love, because sometimes in these films you think, oh my gosh, do I even want to see that? Because there's going to be,
I didn't read the book. Yeah.
Right. Or all these obscure references, and I'm going to feel left out of the club. So I really appreciated that. It was clear that he wants everybody, to experience kind of the magic of this story. So like I said, it's a coming of age story. It's a psychological thriller. It's philosophical. There's still no word yet. There's no green light on a sequel, but I think it would be hard to pass up a sequel. It would have to bomb at the box office to not get a sequel at this point. So highly recommend it. I loved it.
I love it. And I love how I think they rated it really nicely too. It's PG-13.
Yeah.
So it's going to give a much broader audience. I think a lot of people will be able to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, just from my experience, and I'm new to the book, so I love sci-fi, but Dune has not been one of those worlds I've really gotten into.
Okay.
I've been listening to the audiobook, and I've had my ups and downs with that, but watching this movie, it was so great. And it actually does follow along with the book really well. But like you said, it brings people in. Like you don't have to guess, what this means or what they're talking about. They'll lay it out for you and explain, what it is. So you don't feel like you're missing out on something. It's such a good movie. I really liked it. Like, I'm going to watch it again. Now that I saw it in the theater, I'm going to watch it streaming this weekend again.
Yeah.
Like, it's that good.
Absolutely.
When's it going to stream?
It's streaming
on HBO
right now.
Max. Yeah, I was going to add that. It's streaming also on HBO Max. And like I said, you want to see this on the biggest screen possible. I know for everyone that's not possible, right, to get into theaters right now. So just go, if you want, to your friend's house or someone that has a big screen, if you're going to watch it on HBO Max, but just get it on, don't watch this on your phone. Don't stream this on your phone.
Yeah.
Watch it on the biggest screen possible. I mean, this was shot all around Abu Dhabi and Jordan. But this is an interesting fact that I found. So Frank Herbert, who wrote this story in 1965, he's actually a Tacoma, Washington native, and he was inspired. The sand dunes were inspired by the Oregon coast. So a little regional trivia for you there. Nice. So but they were shot all over Abu Dhabi and Jordan, which was really cool. So also I want to add, and Greg knows this, I'm a movie score lover. Hans Zimmer, the always impeccable, composer, does the score for this. So if anything, you can just get swept away. If not by the sand dunes, by his beautiful music.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How exciting.
Yes.
Cannot recommend it enough. on
I
my
know.
end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely something to watch this weekend. I love it. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, and I know there was one other, or at least one other one too, that
Yeah.
you wanted to bring up too,
Yeah.
that I know a lot of people are talking about.
Okay, so here's another one. It's very, a very different vibe, a very different feel, but we're also going to get Timothy Chalamet in this one. This is a Wes Anderson's latest film. Are you both fans of Wes Anderson? You know his movies?
I am.
Yeah.
I like Wes. Yeah.
It's a very particular humor and style, which I just adore Wes Anderson, and this one does not fall short. I would say this is the most Wes Anderson-y movie of the Wes Anderson movies. So this is his 10th feature film, if there is such a thing. So if you're not in the mood for that, don't go see this movie. But this is called The French Dispatch. And like I said, it's his 10th feature film. And this is what he calls a love letter to journalists. So this particular film was inspired by the director's lifelong love of the New Yorker, and imagining all of the correspondents kind of all around the world and reporting, filing their stories for the edition. So
I love it.
Yeah, so we're taken to this little French town. It's called Ennui-sur-Blaze. It's a little French bureau of a Liberty, Kansas newspaper, right? So it takes us to this very obscure place, and we're following all the journalists as they cover their stories for the final issue. So there are 3 different tales that we follow with the characters. You see some of them there. One of the stories follows an imprisoned artist, Benicio del Toro, and involved in this scandal, this art scandal. The second one is the rebellion of a 1960s Paris and the youth in Paris. This is where Timothy Chalamet and Frances McDormand star in this. And then a tale of a child kidnapping and a wizard chef. So those are the 3 stories that we follow. What's great here is Bill Murray, plays the stern editor of the paper. And so his funeral in the beginning of the movie kind of frames the publication of the magazine's final issue. So we're following this is it. Bill Murray, the editor, has passed. Here are the 3 final stories of this edition. So this is Bill Murray's 9th collaboration with Wes Anderson.
Oh, wow.
So they just kind of have a shorthand. And Bill Murray says, you probably know this. I'm looking at the phone here on this footage, and Bill Murray doesn't have an agent. You probably know this. There's a 1-800 number. If a director wants to hire Bill Murray, they leave a message at this 1-800 number, and Bill Murray decides if he's going to call them back or not. He says he always takes Wes Anderson's call. He always calls him back to do his movie. So anyway, so we have Bill Murray. Yeah. And the film also stars this ensemble cast that appears in a lot of Wes Anderson movies. Like I said, Timothy Chalamet, Benicio del Toro, Tilda Swinton, James Wright, Frances McDormand, Owen Wilson. So just an incredible cast here. I am a fan of this movie. Like I said, Wes Anderson has 10 feature films. This would rank in the top half for me of the 10.
Really?
It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite of the Wes Anderson, but it would be ranked in my top 5 of the Wes Anderson films. It's just whimsical and eccentric, and it's just a lot of fun. I mean, it's very charming, very, very charming, and I appreciate his eye for detail. So if you know his movies, they're kind of in sketches, and they feel like you're looking at a diorama from when you were in school and kids would bring a diorama for a book report. So all those little details, which I really like. So yeah, it's charming and it's a lot of fun. Highly recommend this one. Yeah.
This is a good going into the holiday movie, I feel like. This looks really fun.
Yeah, it's really whimsical. I do want to add, though, that we were talking about kids. This one is rated R. So this one is for the adults. Don't bring your kids to this one unless you want them to see this. And it's a little shorter than Dune, though. It's a runtime of an hour, 43 minutes. And this one, though, is only in theaters. So no streaming info on that one yet. But The French Dispatch. Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Thank you so much, Erin. Yeah, because we also stream to Modern Moms. We do know we have a big family community on the show too. So that's great to know. So one for the kids, one for everybody, and then one for, the adults. Really fun.
Absolutely. I don't know if I have any more time. I have a couple more mentions, but if we need to go, we need to go. Those are the 2 important things to watch.
What are the quick mentions?
Quick mentions. Okay, so Winnie, Ron's Gone Wrong. That's another one in theaters for the kids. An awkward kid. He's socially awkward. He gets a robot. That's his new best friend. Of course, the robot malfunctions, so it's hilarious. There's like hijinks, hilarity. That's a great one for the kids. Ron's Gone Wrong in theaters. The second one.
Oh, this is so cute. Look at how cute this is. We got to check it out.
I know. I love the animated film.
Now, this is in the theater. Is it streaming or is it just in the theaters?
This one is not streaming yet. This was in theaters only. So if you want to get out to the theaters and you can't see Dune or French Dispatch, Ron's Gone Wrong is the one you want to take a look at. A second thing to stream, I have 3 other things here. One is on Apple TV Plus. The next one, it's a new sci-fi drama. This is starring Sam Neill. Do you remember him from Jurassic Park back in the day? So this is like an alien invasion story with a little bit of a twist. So this one's on Apple TV Plus. Again, it's called Invasion. It premieres tonight. They dropped the first episode, and there will be 7 more episodes of this. So this is a hostile invasion. And what's different about this is we get to see the story from perspectives from all around the world. So it's going to be a really interesting, unique, character-driven one. Invasion, Apple TV Plus. If you're a fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm, season 11 is streaming on HBO Max. Yeah, this week I have a little catching up to do. I'm like, season 11, how did we get there? But that one's HBO Max starting tonight. And then finally, I'm really excited about this one. I normally don't tune into cooking shows, but this one is interesting. So this is from acclaimed chef David Chang. This is going to be streaming on Hulu starting this weekend, and it's a new docuseries. It's 6 parts called The Next Thing You Eat. So you might know David Chang. He has a show.
Is he from Momo? He's from Momofuku, I think.
Exactly. Yep.
Right?
Exactly. Yes. And he does Ugly Delicious, that show. And so this is a new show that's looking at all the possibilities of tomorrow when it comes to food. You know, how we're going to use our resources.
The future of food.
Yeah, the future of food. So robots, robots. That's what I have on here. Lots of robots, and just kind of rethinking how we're going to be eating in the future and using our resources, you know, to feed ourselves in the future. So that one should be a lot of fun. There's some buzz around that. And that one's streaming on Hulu starting tonight. So those are the streams. And I have one little piece of nostalgia that you both might care about. The Peanuts comic strip. Were you fans of the Peanuts comic strip? Okay, so do you remember they did the movies weeknights? They had special movies premiere for 55 years. So these first premiered, you know, back in the 1960s. Last year, Apple TV bought the rights to these films, and there was incredible backlash. So it was the first time in 55 years that these did not air, you know, on a Sunday night, the Peanuts specials. So this year, Apple TV worked with PBS and PBS Kids to bring the Peanuts specials, holiday specials, back to the airwaves. So this Sunday, you can watch the old-fashioned way. It's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown on PBS, PBS Kids, or on YouTube. So for a lot of Peanuts fans who like the kind of nostalgic holiday movies, they are back on PBS and PBS Kids. The one thing to note is you do have to watch these the more old-fashioned way. The app will not have them, the PBS app, and you cannot live stream them. So you got to figure out a way and check your local listings if you want to watch those this Sunday night.
Oh, you mean like on regular TV?
Like on a TV, yeah.
Yeah, you know. I feel like, you know, it's not as easy anymore. I've but you know, Google helps you with all this. Plus, I gotta say, for those of you, these are some great ideas, Erin. And for those of you who want to have a really fun experience, let me just say that, you know, Erin had mentioned, you know, watching Dune on the biggest screen possible. And I think that's great advice. But for those of you who want to look for like even like if you were doing one of those kid movies, might even consider drive-through. I did a drive-through recently to see Shang-Chi. It was so fun. Just food for thought. Okay.
Those drive-in movies, yeah, those they have gotten such a rise in popularity, understandably, you know, in the last 18 months or so. The drive-in movie theater, right? Bring your own snacks, pile in the car. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. So just check your listings of where these all are at.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, Erin, you know, thank you so much too for all of this and for all your knowledge on everything. And I'm gonna watch Dune again, and I'm gonna watch the French.
I'm watching it too, Greg, this weekend. Yeah, absolutely.
I want to hear what you think about it too, Winnie. Like, definitely.
We gotta talk about it. Cross-X Fighter. Josh was saying such a great movie. I think Josh. And he's saying he remembers The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Thank you all so much. And actually, if you watch any of the movies that Erin has talked about today, definitely let us know because, you know, sometimes you get busy and you fall track. This is awesome. Greg, you're gonna watch Dune again?
Yes, I'm definitely watching it again. Yeah, I may watch it again tonight. It's
that's a definite.
I know I missed some stuff. Like there's so much going on. Like I for sure will. Well, Erin, thank you very, very much for joining us today too, and getting your knowledge on everything. And is there anywhere that we should send people to follow along with everything that you review?
Always on my Instagram. So it's Erin Marie Keeney. The handle Erin Marie Keeney. Yep, they can follow me there. See what's
Awesome.
good.
I'll
Great.
make sure to do that right after. Mhm.
Yep, indeed. All right, Erin. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks to you both. Have a great weekend.
Have
You
a
too.
wonderful weekend.
Bye-bye.
So that's a
That
lot
was
to
fun,
think about
Greg.
right there. Yeah, right. That's
Yeah,
some-
I mean, I got something to watch now. So
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, definitely some cool things to watch. And I know that we do that too. Usually, once a month here on the show, we'll talk about some different things to watch that maybe we recommend or maybe people don't know about. So I always like to hear what other people are watching because, like you mentioned, sometimes it's easy to forget or miss something. There's so much out there right now that if anybody has recommendations, please let us know. On whatever platform you're watching on, or hit us up in our chats or direct message or whatever. I always like to know what the recommendations are that everybody has. So
well, Sadiq's watching 194.
194. Okay, I did not know what 194 was.
I don't know what that is.
He's talking about the different versions of Dune.
Oh,
I think.
there
I think
was
that's
one
what
in
that
a
is.
194.
I think it's that. You know
Must be
what? I'm not
1994.
super well versed in the Dune world, so I could be wrong on that. I
Must
think
be
the
1994.
1984 version. Yeah, the 1984
Yeah.
one. Yeah,
That
yeah,
makes
yeah. There we go. See, I'll get called out by Dune fans if I start saying too much. My knowledge is not the best about it, but the movie is great. So
It looks awesome. I mean, both those movies look like fun, Greg, because I love the second one too. Because the second one had look at that star-studded team, right? That's impressive. I always love to see the best actors and what movies they make.
Oh yeah, the acting is really, really good in it. I mean, it's
Mhm.
pretty incredible. So definitely something
Yeah.
to watch right there.
But I do love that. I love that we can go see Dune this weekend. I mean, and I love Dune giving us the option going in the theater or watching at home. Super convenient.
Yeah, and there's a few more coming out on HBO Max that are going to be that way too. The new Matrix movie is going to be the same thing in theaters and streaming at the same time. And there's a couple more coming out throughout the end of the year too that they've got left that'll be like that. So it's kind of a unique opportunity. I don't think they're doing that next year. I believe it's just for this year, and then it goes back to theater only. For
We'll
some of
take
these
it.
releases.
1
Yeah.
year. Really
Exactly.
good.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I think we've covered a lot of ground here in this show.
We
in this
did.
show so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's Friday. So you know what that
It
means,
is.
right?
It is. Yep.
We got to call it a wrap because it's
Yep.
time to get the off work party started.
Indeed it is. And that's why, thank you to everybody who's been watching along and joining us, and I know our days have kind of switched around a little bit. Next week, I believe do we know which day we're going to be streaming next week?
I believe next week we're going to shoot for Tuesday, which will be a treat because then we can start the week with you a little bit sooner.
Yeah. And set up for whatever's going on. I mean, there's always lots to talk about. So we'll have plenty for that. And, everybody hit subscribe, whatever platform you're watching on, and share the show if you can, and send us any comments or questions or anything you want. It's always great talking to everybody and being here on the show with Winnie and just doing this show. And it is Friday, so everybody have a good weekend. Winnie, you have a good weekend.
Thank you. And then do me a favor, for those of you who are watching, put a comment. We would like to know, what are you doing this weekend? Tell us what you're doing for the weekend so we can actually look for and celebrate you virtually as well. But yeah, have an amazing weekend. I guess I'll see you on Tuesday, Greg.
Right here? Sounds great.
Right here? Okay. All right. Sounds good. Be well. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.